Welcome in everybody to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and this is BP NFL. It's week 15. It's time to make sure we are looking ahead to the NFL playoff push. And if you like bad quarterback play, you're gonna love week 15. We've got second string guys. We've got third string guys. We might have some guys signed off the street at this point. Oh, it's gonna be a good time, but we've got a full slate of games. Andrew Erickson. The only question remains, how's your arm? Are you ready just in case somebody gives you the call at the last minute?
I mean, anything to get rid of Desmond Ridder starting on Monday Night Football in a potential revenge game against the Atlanta Falcons. All I can say is somehow, some way, the NFL knew this was going to happen and they granted us with 2 Monday Night Football games. So we can just make the quick switch back to the other game and hopefully we just don't need to acknowledge that this Falcons-Raiders game even exists.
All right, we've got a lot of games to get to. Just a quick reminder at the top here, the signed Lawrence Taylor jersey is still available. So if you want a chance to score big with the signed Lawrence Taylor Giants jersey for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com. You remember Lawrence Taylor, don't you? When the Giants were good at football? Well, guess what? We're still giving this bad boy away. And all you have to do is go to bettingpros.com/contest. Complete the form and either download the Betting Pros app, leave a review of the Betting Pros podcast, or subscribe to our social media channels at Betting Pros on X, on TikTok, and of course at Betting Pros NFL on the Instagram. The more actions you complete, the more entries you'll receive, and we'll be announcing the winner right here on the channel. So make sure you turn on those notifications right here when you subscribe to Betting Pros and ring the bell till it goes ding so you never miss an episode of Betting Pros and you can claim your prize. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. The Los Angeles Rams. I told you the Buffalo Bills and Rams was going to be a weird one, and it got even weirder than I thought it was going to be. But the Los Angeles Rams go to over 500. They take on the San Francisco 49ers. Who knew the Madden curse extended not just through Christian McCaffrey, but through every San Francisco 49er running back to touch the football this year. So the Niners are 2-point favorites in this one. 48.5 is the number, plus 110. The value right now is just to take the Rams straight up if you think they can beat the 49ers. Brock Purdy had been terrible at home. The trend line was strong. Yesterday was much better. Your thoughts on where we are now after I'm still miserable about the Bears just crapping the bed in San Francisco?
Well, because the Bears were sick. They had they still had the Honolulu flu. That's the case here. So I'm taking the Rams. I see no reason to get away from, the 49ers pulled it off last week against the Bears. They were at home. I don't really care. I think that the Rams are probably a better team overall. I mean, Puka Nacua, when that guy is cooking, you can't stop him. Mm-hmm. Like he is absolutely unstoppable. And Juwan Jennings might be also unstoppable, but I'm going to give the edge to the Rams. Matthew Stafford, McVay. I think they have a better shot of potentially dethroning the Seattle Seahawks potentially as we kind of look at the finish of this NFC West. It seems like the Cardinals are basically out of it at this point, losing back-to-back games against Seattle Seahawks. So I'm going to go with the Rams here.
With the way Jennings has played, they have to absolutely regret giving Brandon Ayuk the money they gave him. Like, that is going to be a terrible thing come next year for the cap. Just saying. Miami, they pull out an overtime victory against the Jets. They're going to go to Houston this week. Houston 2-point underdogs 2-point favorites, -2 on the Houston side. Coming off their bye week. 47 is the number for this game. Plus 110 on the money line for Miami. Neither of these teams make me very comfortable, but we always talk about against good teams, Miami underperforms. So is this the point in time to go on the Texans side?
Well, Joe, are the Texans a good team?
They're an above 500 team. So yes, by that logic, yes, they're a good enough team where the Miami McDaniel rule applies. That's my answer.
I disagree. Okay. I don't think the Houston Texans are a good team.
Okay.
And we're not playing outdoors in December. We're playing in a dome. Like, I think that this offense is going to be fine for Miami. They showed, again, as disappointing as Miami has been this year, with Tua, the team has played pretty impressively, especially when they've faced teams that are more in their ballpark of how good are you versus how good are we. And they've shown resilience in terms of they've actually been able to overcome deficits. Even last year when they were losing in games, they weren't coming back. But multiple times this season, they have rallied back from second half deficits. Even this weekend, forcing overtime, somehow, some way, finding a way to cover the 5.5-point spread at home because Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are the gift that keeps on giving. Merry Christmas, Aaron Rodgers. Thank you so much. So I like the Dolphins here.
My cousin, she was sweating a parlay. She had the Jets in it. She had all the other legs and she was waiting for the Jets to lose. and the Jets were winning in the fourth quarter. I said, don't worry. They'll find a way to lose. And sure enough, they did. And she was very happy. So there you go. Let's get to the next game on the list here. The Cleveland Browns, they're a bad team. They're 3-10. They're going to be hosting the Kansas City Chiefs, who continued to eke out victory after victory. The Chiefs are 6.5-point favorites on the road against the Browns. I don't know anymore what to think. 43.5 is the number, plus 240 on the money line for the Cleveland Browns. So a lot of value to take for the upset here for the Cleveland Browns. I just don't know if they've got it in them. Your thoughts on this one? 6.5 feels like a little much. I think I'm leaning towards the Cleveland side of this one, but I don't want to take too much stock out of what I saw last week against Pittsburgh, because in division game, things are a little riley there, a little different. This is a unique set of circumstances. I think this game might be a little bit closer than people realize. Your thoughts?
Chiefs win, Browns cover. Next game.
Next game. Look at that. Andrew Erickson, like Jay Cutler smoking cigarettes. There you go. All right.
I mean, that's what's going to happen, right? That's what the Chiefs do every single week.
Well, we're in agreement. Chiefs win, Browns cover. Let's go. Dallas, Carolina. Carolina Panthers made that $3 million guy sweat, didn't they?
Dude, man.
Another one that we talked about at length this week.
Sweat.
We talked about it on the live stream, which, by the way, you can watch now. Wednesdays, we're here, Erickson and I, taking questions, hanging out there right here on the channel. So make sure you subscribe. And this is why you ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications, so you don't forget, hey, we're live taking questions and talking about some of the games. A little deeper dive. And this was one of the games we talked about where Carolina continues to be really plucky and competitive. Teams continue to dismiss them and not prepare properly, and they keep taking advantage of pushing teams to their limit. Now, luckily, my under 3.5 wins is still alive somehow for the Panthers. The last couple of weeks, Erickson, talk about sweating that every week. I keep waiting for it to, and it just doesn't. So they're home, 3-10, taking on the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see what the Cowboys do tonight. I love this line. The Carolina Panthers are 1-point favorites right now, as of right now, at home against the Dallas Cowboys. 42.5 is the number. You're getting even money on the Cowboys. I'll take the even money on the Cowboys. I know the Cowboys aren't any good. I know the Carolina Panthers have been plucky, but, look, the Cowboys going to Carolina and losing is something I just can't wrap my mind around quite yet. I'm just not there. We'll see. Maybe I'll feel differently after tonight's Simpsons game, which I'm very excited about. I want to see Simpsons Joe Burrow and Simpsons CeeDee Lamb. I want to see all of that. But as much as I've been hyping up the Panthers, I think when they become favorites is when I think the Dallas Cowboys start to take it personally.
When they become favorites. Joe, do you know how many times Bryce Young has been a favorite in his NFL
0.
career? Yep. This will be the first time he's ever been favored in a game. I'm not fading it. The market believes that he can win. I believe that he can win. They're playing at home against a team on a short week. They've been so close the last couple weeks. I think that they're going to win this game.
So do you go with the -1 and the -110, and you just make your life, you go right for the -120 on the money line for the Panthers?
Yeah, money line.
Right.
That's when I looked at this. I think last night on Sunday night, Dallas was actually still favored, and then you saw the markets kind of flip on to now Carolina being favored because
I wonder if they flip back after tonight too.
I think yeah, it's probably going to depend on what we see.
This is why you set the line alerts. Again, download the BP app, sync your sportsbooks for free. Set the line alerts. This is the game of the week to set the line alerts for. I'm telling you right now. So you know when the line changes, and depending on what you want to do with that line, you can go jump and bet it. One of the many amazing features. Again, when you download the app too, you get the 3 free days of premium. Use that too. But again, the line alert for this game, I would expect this one to flip because I'm sure they're going to put up 30 points against the Bengals because everybody puts up 30 points against the Bengals. The Baltimore Ravens, 8-5, taking on the New York Football Giants or whatever's left of them. The Baltimore Ravens off the bye are 14.5-point favorites. Now, normally this would make me uncomfortable, but then again, it is the Giants, and it's getting ugly. They flew a banner over the stadium. Somebody that said basically was asking the owner, begging him to blow up this horrible dumpster fire of a team. 43.5 is the number. The Baltimore Ravens money line is -1,200. I don't know if you're going to see a line like that all rest of season on some of these games, maybe. Plus 750 for the Giants on the upset. So the question is, can they cover the 14.5, or do you feel confident that the Giants can do any part to get this over 43.5?
Well, two comments on this. I think they also asked Malik Neighbors about that plane, and he said, I didn't pay for it.
I didn't pay for it. Sounds like a hell of an idea. Wish it was mine.
I wish
I'm not going to take credit for it.
But don't hate the idea.
Well, they also, I'm sure you saw this too. on the social media that somebody, I guess, paid some OnlyFans girl to flash the Saints and trying to get them distracted. Did you see this?
Wait, at the game?
At the game. It happened. Somebody's got footage of this, and it's like some anonymous Giants player, but then the nickname or whatever it was TD. So people are speculating, is it Tommy DeVito? I don't know if it is or if it isn't. I'm not trying to spread rumors here. I'm just saying this is where the Giants are right now. Like this is the mindset of the New York Football Giants, and I'm pretty sure this regime is not coming back. So 14.5, too much? Not enough?
I mean, you know me. Look, this sounds totally gross because it's Drew Lock, it's the Giants, they're horrible, but I'm always going to take the double-digit underdogs at home. Like that's the process. And does it work every time? Not necessarily. It really feels like in this case it's not going to work.
I don't feel like it's going to work.
But we've seen the Ravens we've seen them lay down against bad teams all the time.
But off a bye after that Eagles loss, I think Harbaugh's going to have this team humming and fix some of the issues. You know, when a good coach has a bye week, you typically see them fix issues. Like, you know, they know the things that are ailing them. The problem is during the week is not enough time to fix them, but you have 2 weeks to fix them. Sometimes you can put some things in place and make some better adjustments. So I do actually think I think this is one of those 30-3 kind of, like, I think this is an absolute ass, you know, like the way some of the ass kickings have gone on for the Detroit Lions this year. I think this is an ass kicking. I really do.
I mean, it's probably I'm probably just not going to touch this game, to be honest. Like I feel too strongly about that type of trend where this is just so many points, but at the same time, like it's like it really feels like an outlier because it's the Giants and like Drew Lock, and it's not like, oh, this is like a quote unquote like normal bad team. Like this is like an abnormally bad team.
All right, so the New York Football Jets are going to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Aaron Rodgers was throwing the ball all over the place. There you go. Maybe auditioning for another team next year. Who knows? The Jaguars came out with a victory. How? We're all starting to still figure that one out. The Jets are 3.5 point favorites on the road. Here we go again. Stop. 40.5 is the number. Plus 145 for the Jacksonville Jaguars on the money line. I hate this game, Andrew. I do not anything to do with this game, to be honest with you. So I am going to graciously bow out and let you give me your take on this one because I got nothing.
Jaguars cover. They've covered 5 of their last 6 games, and they've been horrible. They just find ways to cover in the Jets, like we talked about earlier. They find ways to lose games and blow it. So
and the Jets are favored again.
That's the thing.
I can't stress this enough. It is stunning. What is it now? 10 of their games they've been favorites, right? I think it's 10 now because it was 9 last week, and they were.
They shouldn't be favored. I would do Jags money line. Jaguars, they're playing at home at plus 3.5, so I think it's good value because they just have to keep within a field goal, and they're going to cover the spread. I get the Jaguars defense is bad, but it depends on what like Aaron Rodgers we get. Like maybe Aaron Rodgers shows up from last week, throws for 300 yards again, or maybe he doesn't. And I don't know. I just no faith in the New York Jets whatsoever. If anything, I'd probably just bet the under. Probably just bet the under in this game, honestly.
40 is a pretty low number defense. Too. That's my struggle bus with that. Like 40 is a low number.
But it's telling you these are 2 bad teams.
Yeah, so I know, but I just don't know why the Jets on the road are constant favorite. Like I can't.
Well, that's why you got.
It's just the New York bias, I guess. Is that what it is? It's the Aaron Rodgers bias. I don't know what it is. It's just crazy.
People can't help them. People love misery, and that's why they keep saying that.
Speaking of misery, the New Orleans Saints, they're not going to have Derek Carr. He's going to be hurt. So I guess it's Jake Haener. Is that what we're doing? Rattler? I don't know. Haener, Rattler, some combination. Who do you think it is? You think it's Rattler?
I don't know. What difference does it make? They're going to get smoked.
Well, here's the thing. They're only 7-point underdogs at home. I would think this number would be higher. I would have set this at 8.5. 43.5 is the number, plus 290 on the money line for the Saints. I like Washington. I want to jump on the 7. I think this is one of the best early values of the slate personally, because I think the more people have time to evaluate this, the more they're going to say, Washington off a bye, big game for them. The Saints have no players left and down to a backup quarterback. I mean, bro, like this is the time. You got to go ahead and bet this now, I think, before it moves, and it's going to move.
Yeah, I agree. And so like comparing this to the Ravens laying so many points on the road against the Giants, why not just lay more on this game? Like that's how I'd rather lay a heavy favorite over a touchdown. Give me the Commanders on the road. They're playing in a dome, but to me, this is Jayden Daniels going back to LSU. Like New Orleans, like, I love that factor. So I think they're going to be really amped up. He's going back to a building that he's played in before, I believe. I probably have to check my fact. I'm assuming that he's probably played there.
Well,
before,
actually, I see
right?
in some markets it's moving to 7.5 already since this morning when we put the show together, because I was just double checking.
I think that, when I handicapped this, my projections, it was closer to, I would lay up to 9.5 points with the Commanders on the road against the Saints and whoever their quarterback. It's not going to be Derek Carr. And again, I've poo-pooed on Derek Carr a lot on this show. But it seems like this guy is always banged up. He's always getting hurt.
But he's had a bad stretch of
He's had a bad run.
A bad run.
He has. And even during his best year when he was going to win the MVP, or he was on pace, he broke his leg, right? So it just seems like he's never really ever had that marquee season where he's able to really put it all together. So just wanted to give a little shout out to Derek Carr, and it's not all your fault, man.
It's not. You want to hug him in Good Will Hunting and just say it over and over again. Oh, look, man. I mean, he's had a better career than his brother, but I mean, I guess
that is true.
That's not saying too much. That's not saying too much. Let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll see what they do on Monday Night Football. Taking on the Tennessee Titans. They're going to Tennessee 3-10. The Titans. We'll see what Cincinnati does tonight. +5. That's the number here of the Tennessee Titans. -5 on the Cincinnati Bengals. You get 47.5 is the total. +185 for the Tennessee Titans to come out with a victory. Look, the Bengals should win this game. Will they win it by 5? That is a real problem for me to wrap my mind around. They're just such a superior offensive team. I think I'm good with this 5. I think it's a touchdown. That's where I want to live with this one. So I'm going to bet this now, because if the Cincinnati Bengals once again go ahead and put up a 40 spot on the Dallas Cowboys, this one will move as well. It will move closer to 5.5 to 6.5, somewhere in that range. That's my feeling on this one. This is another early line I like, despite the fact that Tennessee Titans, Pollard looked good running the football sometimes, and the defense plays hard. I'm still going to just go with the superior offense here, and it's definitely the Bengals.
Man, I was thinking about potentially looking at the total, but it's so high already. I don't think at 48.5 you're really getting much value, because from that you need to get at least a decent game from Will Levis. And the fact that he didn't do it last week against Jacksonville, maybe he was hurt. That's also something we have to look at. He got hurt at the end of the first half, so he did play the second half of the game. So also potentially maybe we get Mason Rudolph. So I think that's a better reason to jump on the Bengals. I will say, do you put any credence towards Callahan playing the Bengals again, his old team? Any familiarity with him versus Taylor, Joe Burrow? That could be another layer of complexity to this matchup. But just looking at, the two teams on paper, Cincinnati, I think I'm looking at it right now. It looks like it's -4.5. I'm seeing some lines. I think that's probably where the value is.
Once again, I keep pounding the table for the Seattle Seahawks, telling you that they're pretty good, and nobody seems to want to believe me. Well, they beat the Arizona Cardinals again. Now the Arizona Cardinals are at home, 6.5 point favorites against our New England Patriots. 45 is the number, +240 on the money line for the Pats. You're getting a nice, fun +240 number for an upset. I don't know if the Patriots can pull this off. I know they're coming off a bye. I'm curious to see if that makes any impact on some of the offense with Drake May, a little bit more time. I'm a fan of Drake May. I really like what I've seen this year, but do you think the Patriots can cover this?
No,
okay.
their defense is so bad against mobile quarterbacks.
Fair enough.
We saw it against Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson played bad in that game.
I was gonna say he played pretty poorly, and then they took him to the limit to the last play of the game, and they eked out a victory there.
Yeah, so they just still a lot of self-inflicted wounds. I'm not sure if you saw the report about Jalen Polk. His locker got moved, and he thought he got cut from the team. The fact that that's even in his mind. That, oh my God, he knows he's not playing well if he thought that he got cut from the team, right? The fact that a second round pick even considers that they had just got released, he knows, hey, I'm not playing really well right now.
It's Willie Mays Hayes in
yeah, right. League. They moved his locker and he's freaking out
already. That's one of my favorite moments in that movie.
For me, I'm just going to continue chasing the trends with the Patriots and games going over the total. Patriots defense is so overrated. We know the Cardinals can score. The Cardinals can run the football. Their Cardinals are playing at home in the dome, and Drake May can make a lot of plays on his own. So I know the Cardinals defense is pretty good, but Drake May can make enough off-script plays. Hopefully we get the offense just to be more cleaned up, more polished, enough of these really dumb penalties. Maybe the offensive line gets a little bit healthier. So I'd probably just lean towards the over in the game. I mean, that's what I do when I watch Patriots games. I just root for points because I know the defense is horrible. And I just want Drake. I just root for Drake May at this point, and that means points.
Well, this should be a fun one. And coming off an incredible performance from Josh Allen, despite coming up a little short. Buffalo 10-3, going to Detroit 12-1. This could be the Super Bowl preview. This is one of the Super Bowls I've bet on in terms of matchup that I think this is where we're headed at the end of the days here. I really do. For some reason, it feels like Buffalo might just be the team of destiny. I know they just came off an L, but you knew there would be a little bit of a letdown after the big game in the snow on primetime against the 49ers and all the, Bills Mafia and the drama and all that nonsense. You knew it was going to get a little harder to go across the country and play, and they fell short. Detroit, 2.5-point favorites. It's been a while since it's been such a close game here for the Detroit Lions. 53.5 is the total, plus 120 for the Buffalo Bills. So, Andrew Erickson, 53 is a tall number. Do you think this one goes over anyway in the Coors Field of the NFL?
Yep. Because the mark that I always talk about, I don't have the exact numbers up with me, but I believe it's like 75% of the games go over 54 points. So yes, that 53.5 seems like it's a big number, but in the grand retrospect of what happens at Ford Field, it's going to go over the number. So again, it feels really point chasey because we just saw like over 80 points scored between the Rams and the Bills. And then we also saw obviously a big game between the Lions and the Packers, but it's just one of these things where I don't really care. Like, I think that this game is going to go over the total. I mean, the Bills defense showed a lot of holes in it last week that I think that Ben Johnson, Jared Goff are going to be able to take advantage of. Because the Bills defense had been pretty good most of the year, and then all of a sudden they just give up a 40 burger to the Los Angeles Rams.
It happens.
Yeah.
The Eagles had a letdown this week too. It's part of the bag. That performance has pushed Josh Allen to minus 450 in the MVP race. And I don't know, even if he loses this game to the Lions, if that changes anything. Like, he'd have to play really poorly for this line to move at all. Like, I don't know if Buffalo can come out with a victory here on the road in Detroit, but I think it's a really good litmus test for them to see where they stack up against the Lions. And I think maybe, just maybe, they got caught looking ahead. The big game against the 49ers, then a game against the Rams, you don't take seriously enough because you're looking ahead to Detroit. And it's a classic trap situation in the NFL. I don't want to read too much into it or, like you said, drag over what we saw necessarily in a good or bad way. The Indianapolis Colts, 6-7, going to Denver, 8-5. Look, Denver's just a better football team by a good amount. Minus 4.5, a more complete team. That's where the Denver Broncos lie as the favorites at home. 43 is the number, plus 180 on the money line for the Indianapolis Colts. I got to be honest with you. I'm comfortable with the 4.5 here. I think this is exactly where I would go, and I would just lock it in right now. Your thoughts?
I like the under on the game total. You have an indoor team going on the road playing in Denver outdoors. Anthony Richardson, we know, is super hit or miss. And even Bo Nix, yes, he has his moments where he looks razor sharp and really accurate. And then he has other moments where it's like, dude, what are you doing? So I think that there's enough up and down play from both sides that I think that this game could be a little bit more lower scoring, especially with both teams coming off the bye week, a little bit more preparation. So I think that we could probably see an under here. So I like the under at 44.5 is the number, or the biggest number, or 44 it looks like is the biggest number I'm seeing.
Tampa, now in the driver's seat, I think, for this division. Would you agree? Like, this is it now. Like, come on. You gotta keep going forward, plowing forward here. Atlanta Falcons didn't do gots. Now it's time for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get back into the playoffs again, win this division. They're taking on the Chargers, 8-5. Again, this is why, you got to take care of the Raiders. You got to handle them because the schedule here is a little tricky at some of these moments, and the Chargers are a competitive football team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, though, are underdogs, even money, plus 2.5. This is where we love Baker Mayfield, isn't it? 46.5 is the number, plus 120. So, do we stay on track, Andrew Erickson, continue to bet Baker Mayfield as the underdog, especially on the road in these situations? I say yes. What say you?
Yeah. You gotta bet Tampa
Let's
Bay.
go.
You think with the Raiders game, and maybe that game goes differently if Aiden O'Connell doesn't get knocked out of the game entirely. Dude, again, Desmond Ridder, man. Every time he comes in the game, I'm like, here comes a turnover.
Oh,
every single time. So yeah, I like the trends with Baker as an underdog on the road. They're so strong in his favor. So even against a team like the Chargers, again, also the Chargers are a team where they don't have home field advantage, right? There are going to be plenty of Bucs fans there. And I think Baker's going to be playing wild, again, the thing that concerns me about Baker, sometimes he does turn the ball over a little bit. We've seen that the last couple weeks, even against the Raiders, he got a little loose with the ball, but I still think they have too many weapons. Mike Evans is healthy. I like the Bucs.
All right, so we're both in on the Bucks on that one. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, the Battle of Pennsylvania. Let's go. The Keystone State. The Eagles, 4.5-point favorites in this one. 43.5 is the number, plus 185 on the money line for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This should be a very fun, competitive game in theory. Now, George Pickens' health, that has a lot to do with this one. This line feels about right to me. If anything, I would lean towards the Steelers covering with this defense. The passing attack of the Eagles has struggled sometimes this year. I think that's, a good way of putting it. They've been a little up and down. So I think Pittsburgh can cover the 4.5. I think this one is more within a field goal. But what do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, I think process-wise, you always want to take the points with Mike Tomlin on the road as an underdog. I would say if George Pickens plays, I don't think Pittsburgh coming away with an upset would be that crazy.
No.
The Eagles. See, the thing with the Eagles is, yes, their defense is rock solid. But like you said, there are some issues with the passing game. If they're not getting Saquon Barkley going, then can this offense produce at a high enough level to beat Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh their offense has had really strong moments this year with Russ. Maybe we don't know how much of it is sustainable into next year, but at least for right now, hey man, Russ is dropping moon balls left and right. It doesn't look like that's going to stop. So I think Bryce Young showed that, hey, you can make enough off script plays here where you can find some holes in this Eagles defense potentially. What's the total on this game? I feel like it must be
the total on this game is 43.5.
Man, that seems like such a weird total for two teams with 10 plus wins. 43.5, but
it does, but but
but
even going back to that game against the Ravens, there were times where that Eagles offense was a little touch and go. It might be a little bit more of a ground and pound, Saquon, Najee Harris kind of a contest here. You might see that's possible. And with the way these two defenses are capable of playing, if you do like Pittsburgh to win, then I think you are leaning towards shying the under in this game because I think that favors their chances to win. You don't want a big explosive Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts performance. I don't think that really enters into it. So
if Pittsburgh wins, it's because Jalen Hurts. All the reports after the game are Hurts struggling as a passer, blah blah blah. Pittsburgh comes away with the win. So I think that's spot on. You the under if you like.
If you like the Eagles, I think you take the over. And if you like the Steelers, I think you take the under in this game. I think that's the way I would put it out there. Seattle handled their business. They are 8-5. They are at home against the Green Bay Packers. 2.5-point underdogs regardless, though. Seattle are against the Packers. 47 is the number, plus 122. So let's talk about this one. It is the Sunday night football game. So can the Packers go out there and assert their dominance over the Seattle Seahawks?
You tell me, because I've been wrong about the Seahawks. I am not the Seattle Seahawks soothsayer, Joe. So you tell me what's your another strong opponent. Say the Packers are probably above the Cardinals. They are on the road though. So do you think? What do you think?
I like the Seattle Seahawks. I like them at home in this environment. I think the crowd's going to be wild. I think they're excited. They can sense this division is theirs. Look, the Green Bay Packers are, unfortunately playing in a tough division with the Vikings and the Lions, right? And they keep trading barbs with these teams, going back and forth, and sometimes coming up short. I think the Green Bay Packers this year don't have that same magic that they had last year. They just don't seem to have that same thing. What I think the Seattle Seahawks have is exactly that. It's that weird mojo that you just can't put your finger on. And statistically, it's wow, you can't keep looking. But what happened? What happened in that game yesterday? Another big turnover, another big spot, right? Another interception there. And you've just felt the whole game just go the other way.
Also, Honolulu flu. So
there you go. And look, and when you add the Detroit Lions,
Seahawks.
It's how's it not the Seahawks right now? So I'm gonna log this bet right now on BettingPros and make sure you follow us at of course on BettingPros, Joe Pisapia and Andrew Erickson. Just search our name in the little bar there and you can find us. But I'll take Seattle with the points and the 3 here. Give myself a little bit out. Maybe they lose one heartbreaking by a point or something like that. But you know what? You're going to give me 3 points for the Seahawks. I'm going to take it at minus 115. That's the best number I'm seeing right now. All right, let's get to the 2 Monday night games because we have to. The Minnesota Vikings 11-2 at home, playing the Chicago Bears. The Bears 7-point underdogs. 43.5 is the number, plus 240. So the Minnesota Vikings put on a show. Jordan Addison still catching touchdowns somewhere. It was crazy. So good on them. That was fun. It was good to see the Minnesota Vikings sort of shake the dust off of the last 2 games, which were kind of disappointing. A lot of field goal settling, a lot of just out of sync. The offense looked very much in sync against the Atlanta Falcons. Can that carry over this week against the Bears?
I think so. Yeah. I like the Vikings here, 6.5, playing at home. Sam Darnold's playing really confident. You're not seeing as much of the turnovers. I think it's because he has all these different weapons. I think part of the issue before was it seemed like they were just like force feeding Justin Jefferson. It's like he's not open. It's like, whoa, I got to get Jefferson his target. It's like, no, like get that. I mean, Addison 3 touchdowns or whatever. How many 3 touchdowns? Like just a monster game, 5 touchdowns overall for Sam Darnold. Again, the Falcons defense is not good. I think the Bears are a little bit tougher, but Bears on the road, typically a spot where you want to fade them. So Minnesota, yeah. I mean, the fact that they're 11-2, that's bonkers. How good their record has been this year, and the fact that we got reports yesterday how like, oh, the Vikings aren't looking to extend Sam Darnold. I'm like, dude, like this guy.
I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday where I said, at what point do they start thinking about maybe we got to bring this guy back next year?
Maybe we should just keep the guy that's good. Like, and then you have it.
And McCarthy's a younger quarterback too. Let's not forget
he
was a little younger side when he was drafted. Give him a little bit. He wasn't able to do anything this year, so maybe this is kind of like this is the get healthy year, and next year's the redshirt year, and then you let him play. I know that's not what Vikings fans want to hear, but look, man, you're 11-2, right? Like, at what point does that not matter?
Yeah, I mean, they made the right decision by not bringing back Cousins and bringing in Darnold in this 1-year deal. But do you bring in a guy for a 1-year deal? It's like, hey, like, can he prove it to? It's not like also Sam Darnold's not like an ancient quarterback. It's not like this guy is like his like. How old is he? He's younger than Bo Nix, I think. Like, just kidding. But he's still a relatively younger quarterback, and McCarthy's coming off these knee surgeries, right? Like, how healthy is it? Do you really want to go into the offseason with McCarthy rehabbing as your starting quarterback? Like, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. So I think Darnold's he's earning his way for a hefty payday. I guess the only thing is, does someone overbid for his services? But if I'm Darnold, man, like, dude, don't risk going away from a system that works for you. Like, dude, like, I would be, stay in Minnesota.
As you said to me earlier, thank goodness we have 2 Monday Night Football games because Atlanta and Las Vegas, I mean, this could be Michael Penix, right? I mean,
I don't think so.
No?
No, because they're still, I don't think they're going to turn to Penix until they actually get eliminated from the playoffs.
I don't know, man. I think the only way to make sure you're not eliminated for the playoffs is to try something new. It's not working. And I really did think I want to take the public loss on this, because there's nothing more obnoxious than people who do the things that we do and never take it. They're never wrong. I was totally wrong. I thought Kirk Cousins, and there were glimmers of it in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, he threw for over 300 yards.
He threw for 300 yards, but at the end of the day, he didn't get it done. I thought Kirk Cousins would have one more Kirk Cousins rub it in your face game, and he did not.
The Falcons defense also did
Falcons defense.
they gave
and it's
up.
Like you're watching it going, well, they're going to throw to Addison here, so I hope, nope, there's another touchdown. Well, they're going to throw to Addison. Well, there's another touchdown. I mean,
I was also wrong about the Falcons, but it was tied at the half. And I was like, all right, like we're feeling okay here. And then
I just thought
it got
blown
blown
out
out
a little bit more, and it was not. Yeah. So, what are you going to do?
Not.
What are you going to do?
Double down on them against the Raiders. That's what I'm going to do. If I was going to lay 5.5 points with the Falcons on the road against the Vikings, I don't care. I'm taking them against the Raiders and Desmond Ridder. If anyone knows that they can beat Desmond Ridder, it's the Atlanta Falcons. They got rid of him for a reason.
Here's the number. It's -4.5. The Atlanta Falcons are favored in Vegas. We think it's Desmond Ridder right now. 43.5 is the number. +190 on the money line on the Vegas Raiders side. So yeah, I mean that's. I don't want to end the show on a down note, but this is not a very thrilling contest.
Well, I mean, the Raiders have all the incentive to play Ridder and get destroyed because they have, I believe, the number 1 pick right now in the NFL draft. So
are they now the number 1? Wow.
I think they're number 1 just based on.
They are 2-11. The Giants 2-11, and then our Patriots at 3. So we're closing in, Andrew. We're closing in right there.
The thing is, like, I don't feel like, but this is so different because we have Drake May. So like if like the dynamic feels so different from those other teams.
Yeah, but what a beautiful time to be alive. You can take either the best wide receiver for once and actually not get it wrong because you don't have to evaluate. You just know who it is. Or you take the best tackle in the draft and you start to protect Drake May and fix the offensive line, which I think is probably where they're going to go, to be honest with you.
I just think that.
Or you trade down and then you really start, becoming an organization that plays chess again and not checkers.
They should, if I were the Patriots, I would focus on free agency as bringing in receivers that are already good. Because this franchise has shown that they can't sign T. Higgins. They cannot develop receivers unless they get drafted in the 7th round or undrafted.
And you got the cap space to do it.
Yes.
Draft a tackle, sign T. Higgins. boom, you're right back in it. Let's go. Let's go. All right, we're going to go. But don't forget, we're always here, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to go to bettingpros.com/contest so you can get that Lawrence Taylor jersey. And, of course, hang with us. Again, Andrew and I will be live here Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on the channel. So don't miss that. Ring the bell till it goes ding when you subscribe to the BP YouTube channel, the fastest-growing YouTube channel in the history of the universe, or at least in the betting space. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.